Hello, hello. My name is Nijmeh Ali, and today is April 9th, 2023. And the word of the day is listen. And the card of the day is 10 of Pentacles. And first of all, I just wanted to wish you a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. And as I was contemplating this word today and the card and the day, like all the three aspects of the day. And so like I've been in the listening mode. And when it comes to listening is something to me that is active. And so like if I'm hearing something, it's different. It's like, okay, I'm not really active intently listening to someone or something. So, for example, because I've worked face to face with people, I've had to listen to their words, their tone, their body language, their energy, and everything in between. And to be actively listening means to also hear what is not being said. It's almost like the listening is expanded rather than it's you're present, because being present, in order to actually actively listen to someone, it's important that you're present, meaning your attention is nowhere else but in this example on a person. So you're not thinking about, did I remember to feed the dog? Did I remember to lock my door? Do I have enough money in my bank account? Did I do this correctly? No. It's all about being in that moment with nothing else distracting you, outside circumstances. Maybe there's people around you. The key is being undistracted by the noise that's outside of you. It could be like you could be at a restaurant. I mean, today we notice like a lot of people are on their phones. Like people could be talking to them and they're like on their phones. To me, that's not being present. That's not listening. That is, I am divided in my attention to you. And because there's no two moments alike, it really is sacred when someone is talking with you and sharing with you and being with you. And so to me, listening is honoring the experience that is in front of you. And if you want to take it up a notch further, it's to be completely empty. What does that mean? You don't have an expectation of what you want to say next. Like you are just so in the moment listening to the person that basically you're holding space, free of your own agenda. And the ability to internalize that information, interpret that information to the person that you're talking with builds a connection. And if you've really nailed what they have said by reading all the cues, the words, the tone, the undivided attention, what's not there, you will build rapport with a person that's unmatchable. And when you do this, this builds connection, it builds trust, it builds safety, it builds growth and progress and communication that is healthy, that continues on and on and on. And that's how, like, repeat customers occur. Basically, it's about really holding that sacred space of love for that person and what they're going through, and the fact that they have chosen, or they have been spirit-led, God-led, to sit in front of you so that you may be the solution to whatever they're going through. And I generally, when I've done this, I have also given a solution. Now, that takes discernment and intuition, because sometimes people just want you to listen. And sometimes they're really unaware that they're searching for a solution. And sometimes they don't even know that a solution does exist, that somebody may have their answer. Or sometimes they just want to, like, vent. And other times they're just people who are, like, stuck in the cycle of the problem. They don't know or can't conceive of being conscious of the unconsciousness that they're in, so they keep complaining. And so I've had to learn that to take care of myself, meaning when people continue to complain, I generally create a space. And I'm very, very, very more than generous in listening. However, at times people are not ready to hear the solution, and that's fine. It's perfect. Like, they're not ready to become conscious, basically. And so in that unconsciousness, they still have steps and journeys to take with other people to be surrounded by. And I get to choose on who I get to surround myself with and by. And it's just how it is to me. Like, I wouldn't expect a first grader to be able to do a 10th grader's homework. And I wouldn't expect the 10th grader to want to hang out with the first grader all the time. So it's really important to actively listen to your own personal guidance and see where you are to be, how much time to give, like in the example of the first grader or the 10th grader, and vice versa. And I mean, some children are geniuses. They can do equations that a person that has studied science their whole life can't solve, and they can solve equations just like that. So it's not so much about age, it's more of, or gender or race or any of that. It's really simply about the consciousness of the person. And so today, as I was listening, my intention was based on yesterday's video, was connection and receptivity to the conscious masculine and conscious feminine. That is pure consciousness, that is not tainted by our genders, by thoughts of men or women, simply pure masculine consciousness, pure feminine consciousness, to actually actively listen to what would come through me. What was I going to tune my ears to today? And I'm thankful that it wasn't that difficult, because I mean, even though I had other like thoughts that wanted to come in and distract me, and I was like, no. Today, my focus is active listening on the conscious masculine and conscious feminine. What does that sound like? What are the thoughts, the thought forms of that? What are the belief forms of that? What are the feeling forms of that? And then what are the actions, activities, and behaviors of that? So that is kind of like taken listening. It's integrating, but I have to be active and present. So it's active and present to see what would come through. And then my interpretation, excuse me, my interpretation of what I received is what I'm sharing with you. This is really important because it also removes inner conflict, which affects outer conflict, because all outer conflict is really inner conflict. So areas of our lives where we are not listening to the truth, in however way we started listening to the falsities, the illusion, we stopped listening to the truth. And so, and it's compounded, right? It's a practice that's compounded. So when untruth or illusion comes into view, you're able to, oh, that is really not the truth as I know it. And you can continue to remain in your power, in your truth, because truth is power. Truth is a higher frequency. It's the highest frequency. Being conscious is a high frequency. You're able to see the unconsciousness or the untruth or the illusion when you're in higher states of consciousness and in truth. However, this is, again, continuous practice over and over and over. And since we're talking about listening, the practice of active listening to that which is within you. Because you can compare what's within you to what's outside of you, because what's outside of you is not the dictator of your truth. It's like you gauge everything outside of you by being in integrity and in peace with yourself and in consciousness with yourself. And then everything outside of you gets to be looked at through that lens, through that perspective, to see if it matches, or to see where there can be an exchange of like, okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. There is a connection. There is a harmony there, right? There is a resonance there, if you will. And so there is a ally. And this is when we meet people who like really complement us. They're on a path of growth and evolution and consciousness. And so are you. And they have their angle on it, and you have your angle on it. And so you're both learning from one another, and the energy is getting lifted. But that takes active, present, still listening. So with that being said, this is the 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles is about material wealth and fulfillment, spiritual wealth, if you will. And to me, spiritual wealth and financial wealth, material wealth, are one and the same. Meaning, when you have fulfillment, when you're fulfilling your mission and your purpose, and you have material wealth, that's a perfect time. And this is what this card represents. This card represents material and spiritual fulfillment, wealth. To me, spiritual fulfillment is wealth. And this includes ancestors, spirit animals, the dogs, and there's children in there. And then there's like the kingdom. And this card is also saying that there's a solid foundation for this building. Either it was built in your family, or you will build it to create this for your family, for your lineage, for your ancestors, by the work that you're here to do, by your mission and your purpose. But what this card to me is saying, that this is already in progress, because this card would have never came up if this wasn't already happening, or is in the process of becoming, meaning it's already here. So this card is all about new beginnings. But also that it's possible for the fulfillment of spiritual wealth and material wealth. And I find it's interesting that it happened on Easter. And so how I interpret that is truth. I have known that for a while, that it's possible to have both. However, this was like a complete circle for me, today being Easter, and being it my mission and purpose for people to have both, for me to have both, and for others to have that as well. What's possible for me is also possible for everyone else to experience. And I know that coming from where I come from, that I'm the one that really is the pioneer in my family. My family has nothing to do with any of this kind of like conversation. It's very different for me than it is for them, but I have always known as a child that I am here to awaken my family. I didn't think that it was going to go into, or maybe I had a slight chance that it was going to be like global. However, I really thought when I first started this work that it was just for my family, because I wanted my family's lineage and all the unconsciousness that is there to be transformed. And I knew that if it was going to happen, I was going to have to do it. And I have always been a willing participant to do that. And it hasn't always been easy, but it has definitely been worth it. Because, I mean, what's the alternative? Unconsciousness. And consciousness is too sweet and too beautiful once experienced, to where it totally is easier to be conscious than unconscious, because unconsciousness brings about suffering. When you're conscious, it's not like you don't suffer, but you know that you can ascend or evolve and continue to reach into greater and greater consciousness. Plus, you're fueled by how good it feels and the freedom that it gives you and the clarity, and it's just all positive. It doesn't mean that you don't go through human experiences, like of the 360 range of emotion of sadness, grief. It's just that you're on a journey of consciousness. And I've said this before, that until we all become conscious as humanity of our identity and who we are as this pure love consciousness in essence, plus it's joy consciousness, plus it's wealth consciousness, plus it's abundance consciousness, plus it's prosperity consciousness, plus it's ecstasy consciousness, plus it's peace consciousness, plus it's harmony consciousness, plus it's collaboration consciousness. We are really whole and complete. And that's another thing about this card, the 10, whole and complete. And so I feel that I'm complete with what I had to say today. Thank you for tuning in, and happy Easter again. And have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you're at in the world. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.